In a league obsessed with three-pointers, pace, and positionless basketball, Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are rewriting the script.
Pass, Jokic. Jokic in deep. Down the middle to Brown!
These two are dominating the game with efficiency, both averaging 30-plus points per game with a true shooting percentage above 60% and a fundamental style that couldn't be more different. They're not just thriving, they're having career years and leading the MVP race. But how exactly are they unbreaking the modern NBA? Depending on who you ask, it's either the NBA's greatest weapon or its biggest problem. Some fans love it, others don't. And if you've been following the chatter about declining NBA ratings, one of the loudest complaints has been this: there are too many threes. Legends of the game, guys who built their careers on mid-range pull-ups and acrobatic finishes at the rim, have been vocal about it. The numbers back up their concerns. So far in the 2024-25 season, 42.3% of all field goal attempts are coming from beyond the arc. That's an all-time high, on pace to break the previous record of 40%, set in 2021-22. The average NBA team is now attempting 37.5 three-pointers per game. That's up from 35.2 just a few years ago. The defending champion Boston Celtics are pushing the trend even further, on track to become the first team in NBA history to attempt more threes than twos over a full season, and it won't even be close. Rewind to the mid-2000s, and no team was taking threes at even half the rate of today's Celtics. Back then, basketball was all about balance, pick-and-roll mid-range jumpers, power moves in the post, and ashy finishes at the rim.
Here he comes the other way. There's your first James Jam of his career.
The game today has shifted towards step-back threes and long-range bombs, with mid-range jumpers and paint play taking a back seat. While this three-point obsession has taken over the league, two of the game's biggest stars are proving there's still another way to dominate: Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jokic, already a three-time MVP, entered the season with the expectations sky high, but he's delivering another historic campaign. He's averaging a triple-double with 29.9 points, 13.1 rebounds, and 10.1 assists per game on 56.3% shooting. His game is a masterclass in efficiency and creativity. Hook shots, behind-the-back passes, no-look assists. Jokic makes the game look effortless, blending finesse and power in a way that feels almost unfair. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has made an equally compelling case for his spot among the league's elite. He's evolved into one of the most prolific and efficient scorers, putting up 32.0 points, 6.1 assists, and 5.3 rebounds per game while shooting 53% from the field. His offensive arsenal is unstoppable, mixing slick footwork, a lethal mid-range game, and fearless drives to the basket. He's become a 30-point-per-game machine without relying heavily on the three-point line. Jokic and SGA represent a different kind of greatness in an era dominated by the three ball. Their styles emphasize skill, versatility, and basketball IQ over sheer volume from deep. While most teams are rewriting the game with long-range shooting, these two are redefining dominance in their own way.
Shai, tough shot over McDaniels and SGA.
If you've watched Nikola Jokic, or even glanced at his stats, it's clear the man is redefining what it means to dominate offensively. Sure, he's not going to threaten Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game record anytime soon. That's not his style. Jokic is known as the ultimate playmaker, setting the table for everyone else. But don't let that fool you. When it comes to scoring, he's far from slacking. This season, Jokic is putting together one of the most prolific scoring campaigns of his career, averaging a personal best 29.9 points per game, ranking third in the league. To score at this rate in today's NBA, you've got to be an elite shot maker. Yet Jokic doesn't fit the traditional mold of high-volume scorers like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, or James Harden. Instead of relying on pull-up threes or explosive drives to the rim for his scoring, Jokic operates in a way that feels almost out of time. He doesn't just bulldoze his way into the paint or fire off contested jumpers. Instead, he glides into his spots, breaking down defenses with his deceptive agility and unmatched craft. Once he gets to the middle of the floor, it's game over. Jokic uses his elevated release point to protect the ball from defenders, and his touch around the rim is historically good. He lofts in high arcing floaters, funky off-balance jumpers, and shots that seem to defy basic physics.
Jokic has to Christian Brown. Jokic, another three, that's good.
His creativity in the paint makes his scoring arsenal feel like a throwback, something rarely seen in today's three-point heavy era. Once Jokic gets within 15 feet of the basket, defenses might as well pack it in. He has the size and strength to overpower even the league's best big men, but it's his combination of footwork, finesse, and basketball IQ that makes him truly unguardable. In a league where everyone is chasing spacing, speed, and athleticism, Jokic has leaned all the way into being a true big man. And just when you think you've got him figured out, Jokic steps back and hits a three. He's shooting a ridiculous 47.9% from beyond the arc this season, one of the best marks in the NBA. But here's the kicker. He only takes 4.3 three-pointers per game, choosing his spots carefully. While most superstars jack up threes in double figures, Jokic's selective shooting makes him one of the most efficient scorers in the league. He's not just scoring at a high volume, he's doing it on his terms, with efficiency that's borderline ridiculous. And when you break it down, basketball is fundamentally about putting the ball in the net. This season, no one is doing that quite like Nikola Jokic. But if Nikola Jokic is brilliant at putting the ball in the net, then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the embodiment of scoring as an art form. In a league where guards are hoisting up 10 or more threes per game like it's second nature, SGA is carving his path in a completely different way. His game is built on a blend of old-school mid-range mastery and modern driving finesse, a rare combination in today's three-point obsessed NBA.
Gilgeous-Alexander, step back, three-pointer, line drive, nails another.
Unlike many of his contemporaries, Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't rely heavily on the three ball. Last season, he averaged just 3.6 three-point attempts per game. And even with a bump to 5.7 attempts this year, it's still a far cry from the likes of LaMelo Ball, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, or Anthony Edwards, who are all launching around 10 triples a game. Yet despite that difference, SGA is outscoring all of them. He's putting up a career-high 32 points per game this season, a mark even most elite shooters can't touch. For comparison, LaMelo, despite leading the league with an absurd 12.6 three-point attempts per game, is still trailing SGA in scoring with 29 points per game. But what makes Shai so special is his ability to create shots from anywhere on the court. He's one of the NBA's premier isolation scorers, thriving in the mid-range, the deep paint, and at the rim. Shai doesn't just get to his spots, he owns them. His pull-ups, step-backs, and crossovers give him all the separation he needs, while jab steps and ball fakes off the catch allow him to rise up for easy jumpers. Last season, SGA took 4.48 mid-range attempts per game, shooting an impressive 49.4%, a mark that puts him among the league's most efficient mid-range scorers. This year, he's maintained that same surgical precision, but he's added even more dimensions to his game. And then there's his driving. Shai is, quite simply, one of the best in the business at attacking the basket. Over the last 2 seasons, he's led the league in drives, averaging a jaw-dropping 23.6 per game. But here's the kicker. SGA isn't the fastest, nor is he the most explosive.
Got a couple of birds up in the air.
Instead, he uses a deadly mix of hesitation moves, deceleration, and immaculate footwork to keep defenders guessing. Once he gets downhill, it's a wrap. He's a master at finishing below the rim, using his size, 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan, and touch to get the job done. And then there's his ability to draw fouls. Much like Giannis Antetokounmpo, SGA has mastered the art of using his drives to bait defenders into reaching. The result is more trips to the free throw line, further padding his scoring totals. But what sets Shai apart isn't just his production, it's how he does it. While guards like Steph Curry dazzle with deep bombs and Russ Westbrook overwhelms with pure athleticism, SGA plays with a patience and smoothness that's almost Tim Duncan-like. He's a fundamentalist at heart, someone whose game is built to age like fine wine. That's why, despite not having the flashiest highlights, he's consistently dominant. This season, SGA is putting on a clinic, proving that his unique scoring style isn't just effective, it's unstoppable. While most of the league's stars are chasing the Steph Curry blueprint of jacking deep threes, Shai and Jokic are reaching into basketball's past, redefining what it means to be elite in today's game. What makes Jokic and Gilgeous-Alexander so unique isn't just their dominance, but how they do it. They're ball-dominant, yet absurdly efficient with every touch.
Nuggets chasing, Gilgeous-Alexander lay it up and in.
For Jokic, he's the very identity of the Nuggets offense. Everything runs through him, and without him, nothing works. Jokic touches the ball an astonishing 106 times per game, leading the league by a mile. The next closest is Trae Young, at 93.7 touches per game. Here's the wild part. The Nuggets average 104 possessions per game. That means Jokic touches the ball on every single possession. And as the best passer and playmaker in the league, Jokic thrives on the ball. Collapse on him, and he'll punish you by finding the open man. Back off, and he'll bury a jumper or back you down for an easy bucket. The most remarkable part? He's doing all this with surgical efficiency. Jokic is shooting 56% from the field, 47.9% from three, and boasts an effective field goal percentage of 61.5%. That's elite for anyone, but for someone carrying this level of volume, it's downright historic. To put it into perspective, only a handful of high-volume scorers, like Jokic and Giannis, are above the 60% mark in effective field goal percentage this season. Plus, his true shooting percentage is a ridiculous 65.3%. So Jokic's ability to blend high usage with unmatched efficiency is something we rarely see, and it's what makes him a unicorn among superstars. But just as Jokic is the heartbeat of Denver's offense, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the engine that powers the Thunder. This season, OKC averages 102.7 possessions per game, and SGA touches the ball around 70 times per game.
That'll be a little more inconspicuous SGA.
While this doesn't quite match Jokic's league-leading touches, it's reflective of the Thunder's balanced roster, with multiple creators sharing the playmaking load. Unlike Denver, where everything revolves around Jokic, OKC has more options to distribute responsibilities. Even so, Shai's workload is immense, and it shows in his impact. With him on the court, the Thunder outscore opponents by 18.9 points per 100 possessions. When he's off, they get outscored by 0.6 points, a staggering 19.5-point difference. Despite his heavy usage, SGA remains one of the most efficient scorers in the league. He's shooting 52.9% from the field, an incredible mark for a guard who often takes tough, contested shots. For context, Shai has consistently shot over 50% from the field for the past 3 seasons, a rare feat for guards, who typically rely on jump shots more than wings or bigs do. His efficiency goes beyond standard field goal percentage. Shai has a 57.1% effective field goal percentage and a 63.6% true shooting percentage this season, both elite marks, especially given his volume. What's more impressive is that many of his points come from mid-range, an area where he consistently hits difficult shots. Few guards can combine this level of scoring volume with such efficiency, making Shai one of the NBA's most unique offensive weapons. And all of this explains why Jokic and SGA are the clear frontrunners for this season's MVP. No one else even comes close, except maybe Giannis, and it's easy to see why. For Jokic, the expectations were sky high after winning 3 of the past 4 MVP awards. Yet through the first few months of this season, he somehow managed to exceed those lofty standards.
Jokic just gets it off in time. It's up. Oh, it's good!
Night after night, he delivers insane stat lines while seemingly rewriting the record books. Jokic is averaging 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists per game, shooting an efficient 56.3% from the field and an unbelievable 47.9% from three-point range. The case for Jokic is simple. He's the only player who ranks in the top 5 for points, rebounds, and assists. He's setting career highs in points, assists, and steals while shooting a career-best 47% from deep, second best in the league. With 20 triple-doubles already, no other player even comes close. Statistically, he's a juggernaut, ranking number 1 in player efficiency rating, value over replacement player, and box plus minus. And it's not just the numbers. The Nuggets' success depends entirely on Jokic. They're 4th in the Western Conference, but without him, they wouldn't even be in playoff contention. With Jokic on the floor, Denver outpaces opponents by 13 points per 100 possessions. When he's off the court, they're outscored by 9.9 points. That's a net difference of 22.9 points per 100 possessions, a staggering figure that shows his importance. Jokic's ability to dominate every facet of the game while elevating his team makes his MVP case one of the strongest in years. But Shai is also making a compelling case for MVP. After a breakout 2023-24 season, he's taken his game to new heights this year. making him nearly unstoppable. SGA's case for the award couldn't be much stronger at this point in the season. He's averaging 32.0 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists per game while shooting an impressive 53.0% from the field.
Shai, nice spin move, went right around Clowney.
On top of that, he's led the Thunder to the best record in the Western Conference and the entire NBA, sitting at an outstanding 37-8 through 44 games. It would be easy to reduce Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's MVP candidacy to simply being the best player on what might be the best team in the league. The Thunder are on pace to win around 67 games this season, which is remarkable. However, it's clear that SGA is the driving force behind the team's success, thanks to his unparalleled creation ability and absurd shot-making. Anyone who's watched him play knows that Oklahoma City is at the top of the West because of him. Given the success he's brought to the team, it's hard to make an argument against SGA for MVP right now. SGA also ranks first in win shares, first in estimated plus-minus, and second only to Jokic in most other advanced stats. He's scored the most points this season, leads the league in made free throws, and ranks 9th in free throw percentage. He's second in steals and has the second most blocks of any guard. He's on pace to join Michael Jordan as the only two players in NBA history to average at least 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block while shooting over 50% from the floor.
Cuts through a couple of defenders. How did he get that up?
Between Jokic and Shai, team record, and where each of them ends up in the standings will definitely factor into the MVP decision. While Jokic has a strong statistical case, it's not overwhelming enough to match SGA's combination of individual stats and team success. It's hard to justify giving the MVP to Jokic if he finishes well behind OKC in the standings and outside the top 3 in the West. But with a lot of basketball left to play, it's clear that the MVP race is likely to come down to these two players. Jokic's numbers, as usual, are nothing short of remarkable. Despite Denver dealing with injuries to key players and a rough patch early on this season, Jokic has stepped up in a big way. He's raised his scoring average to 30 points per game while doing so efficiently, all while orchestrating the game as the best playmaker in the league. In fact, few players in NBA history have ever averaged the numbers Jokic is putting up. If you're watching him this season, and hopefully you are, you're witnessing one of the best individual campaigns in NBA history, and the best season of Jokic's career, which is saying a lot for a 3-time MVP. Jokic is simply playing at video game levels right now. Last season, Gilgeous-Alexander led the youngest team in NBA history to the #1 seed in the West. Unfortunately, that didn't bring him his first MVP award, as it went to Jokic for the 3rd time in 4 seasons. However, SGA's 2023-2024 season was already a perfect showcase of his skills, far exceeding expectations and propelling Oklahoma City beyond their projected win total. This year, with even higher expectations for OKC, SGA is again leading the young team to the 1st seed in the West while having a career year of his own.
9 3-pointers and had a career-high 37. Euro step and 1!
There are a few qualities that define the best player in the world. One of those is consistency. You can't call someone the best if they've only had 1 or 2 great seasons in a row. The best players dominate year after year, and that's exactly what Shai has been doing for the past 3 seasons. This year, he's leading the league in scoring, averaging 32 points per game. He's also averaged 30 or more points per game for the last 3 seasons, putting him in a select group of players to achieve that feat. What makes Gilgeous-Alexander so special is his ability to consistently score over 25 points per game and lead his team in scoring, all without relying heavily on the 3-point shot that dominates today's game. Jokic and SGA's play this season shows how basketball's evolution can coexist with timeless fundamentals. Yes, the 3-point shot reigns supreme right now, but it shouldn't come at the expense of the foundational aspects the game was built on. And both Jokic and SGA are proving that. While other players are taking over the NBA with 3-point heavy shooting, Jokic and SGA are doing it with solid, fundamental basketball. Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are showing the league that there's more than one way to dominate the game. By blending historic efficiency with their unique playing styles, they're reminding us why basketball is an art form. So, who do you think should win the MVP this season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth NBA content.